Thank you, Princess. I love you.
And we're live. And I love that you said thank you, Princess, because I'm thinking about royalty right now.
It's, I guess the theme for tonight is long live the king.
Oh, the breakdown starts now. The man
Just so
who
everybody
became.
knows, Renee was bringing me the beverage of kings, the king of beverages, and I said, "Thank you, Princess." Right as we went live on the air,
Which is sweet.
Listen, she's aces. She's top notch, 100%.
Nobody brought me water. Just sending that out there to the world. If anybody wants to be the person in my life to bring me water,
you know. I'm having mixed feelings about this week. I came into the beginning of the week feeling really down because we're on the wrong side of history with this siding with Russia business. But you know, the last couple of days, Donald Trump has really been so unhinged. His White House has been so unhinged that you can see there's a reason why he's down 11 points in his approval rating already. And the very, very online White House led the week. I thought, and we all saw it, the creepiest thing about the week was the deportation flight AMSR video, which I don't know about you, but I was like, the person who made this, I would not let them babysit children or small animals.
Yeah, I will. And for people who don't know what ASMR is, it's supposed to be soothing sounds. So it can be like the crinkling of paper, or like, I don't know, chipmunks eating. But you know what it's not? You know what's not soothing? The sound of inhumanity. But apparently that's soothing to the current White House and the people who support them. And that to me is horrifying. It was one of those things that the minute I saw it, I knew it was meant to trigger us. And I didn't care because I wanted it to not only trigger the people who were obviously going to be triggered by it, but I wanted to send it to all of my apolitical friends, my both sides are the same friends, and say, hey, this is what you enabled to get into office by sitting this one out.
And this is the kind of dehumanization. I don't know. There seem to be a couple of historical precedents about that level of dehumanization, but I can't bring them to mind offhand, except they involved Hugo Boss uniforms and jackboots.
I forgot about the Hugo Boss.
Let's play that clip, and you'll see why we say it's so dehumanizing.
Now, they want us to believe that these are hardened criminals, but even if they were hardened criminals, the fact that this is going out on the White House official account as a joke, as a meme, the meme presidency, it just tells you how unserious these people are. It's driving me nuts.
Well, and look, I think it's important to really respect the depravity of their intentions here. Because this is meant to, as you said, to trigger people. It is meant to dehumanize people. But I think it's really important to understand why this blows back in the end. This administration is so online all the time. They're so, let's own the libs. Let's get something that'll be a viral smash on Breitbart. Let's get in the comments section. Let's go on Twitter and get all of it. Always chases the dragon further and further and further down. They will not be satisfied. They thought that was great. They loved that clip. But the problem with dehumanization and that sort of rage baiting is the tolerance for that drug builds up really quickly. And so that little video, the next one will be more exaggerated, more extreme, more violent, more obvious, more evident, more deliberately cruel, because the real monsters here aren't the people in the chains, they're the people that are laughing at the people in the chains.
Yeah. And, with that Valentine that we saw up on the screen a little bit there, it calls to mind the postcards that used to get sent back in the day. When we talk about cruelty, what we're capable of a nation is cruelty. And we think about those videos in many ways are reminiscent of the lynching postcards that used to get sent around. Sure. And so when you start to turn this lack of humanity into clips, into rage bait, it dehumanizes not just the people who are in these videos. These are human beings. It's dehumanizing the people who are watching, the kids who are watching. And I think a lot of times right now, we used to say it all the time before, but I want to remind people, children are watching, kids are watching. And how are you raising children in a society right now where this is what is coming from our leadership? It's tainting everything from, they're online, 13, 14, seeing this?
Well, I mean, Maya, one of the things I was thinking about when I saw it the first time was they definitely want the left and the center and decent people everywhere to say, oh my God, this is so horrible. They know it's horrible. Mm-hmm. That's one further layer of this is the people that made that were not complete morons. They sat there and said, let's find a way to dehumanize as much as we can and get away with it and try to make it something very online. We'll make it AMSR so it's cute. Mm-hmm. But as you pointed out, these are not, as they claimed, hardened criminals. These are not the worst of the worst, the dangerous killers and the gang members. These are regular people who came here to work. By and large, they're regular people who came here to work. You know what? You want to arrest murderers from other countries? God bless you. Go do it.
Do it.
But most of these people were here to work. A lot of these people they're picking up were here on temporary protected status. Mm-hmm. And all of it comes down to one thing, Maya, and I think it's important to keep this in mind. Abraham Lincoln was once praised by by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he said of Lincoln's cabinet, he goes, an institution is the lengthened shadow of a man. Because all those people in Lincoln's cabinet were these pretty extraordinary individuals in a time of horrifying war. And they helped save the country with Lincoln. An institution really is the lengthened shadow of one man. This would never happen if Donald Trump was not an absolutely morally bankrupt, horribly cruel, disgusting example of humanity. And I'm not as upset about it as I think the right thought we would be, but I am. It's a clarifying moment of the way they look at human beings. Mm-hmm. And if you treat people that are beneath you somehow in society for whatever reason, or beneath you in the world for whatever reason, with hatred and contempt and cruelty, that's on you. And that's on Trump. And that's on these people.
Absolutely. And you know what? To me, this is an opportunity. I would like to see the Christians who are watching, people who attend church. I want you to send this to your friends and family who voted for Trump. I want you to bring this in and say, look at this, and ask them, is this what Jesus would do? I think this is a good time to make people feel uncomfortable about their decisions so they can feel the consequences of their actions. And so you can plant that seed in their brain that you are watching and you're going to continue to watch, and you're not going to be dehumanized or allow people to be dehumanized on your watch.
You know, that is a really good note and a really good plan, because there is a degree that while they'll laugh about it in private, they wouldn't laugh about it with people they cared about in public, whose opinion they cared about. This is the sort of online trickery that fools people who are a small minority of the country into thinking that they're the majority, because nobody else wants to put their name to something like that. So it's it's a remarkable piece of work, but I think we're going to get much, much worse to come. I really do.
Yeah, I do too, because he's the king. The king gets
He's
to
the
decide.
king.
He can decide whatever he wants to do.
You know, Trump has always had these delusions of grandeur and these delusions of royalty and all that psychotic, I'm going to have a family crest made for myself. Okay.
Is that what his time cover was? Is that his family crest? I feel like that's the version.
Yeah,
of his family crest.
He thinks. You know, the long live the king stuff, guys. Trump saying he's going to run for a third term. This is one of those moments where, remember when they used to say you got to take Trump seriously, but not literally? You should really take him literally here. You should take him literally, because he's joking about it now to shove that Overton window further and further and further over.
Exactly.
Now it's a joke. Then it'll be, it's a joke, but some people say it could happen. Then it'll be, people say it could happen, and some people even say it should happen. Well, some people say it should happen, and my lawyers are going to fight to make it happen because some people say that. And then my lawyers may not win, but if you don't let me run for a third term, I'll burn the fucking country to the ground.
Which is essentially what feels like it's already happening. And
oh yeah,
amidst all of this chaos that they're creating, they're slipping in things that some people are definitely paying attention to, but other people might be missing, like this executive order that supposedly gives only he and his attorney general the power to interpret laws. What?
I would like to introduce Donald Trump's lawyers to Chief Justice John Marshall. And a little case they call Marbury versus Madison. That is the case that determined, I think it's now 102 years ago, or 202 years ago, 202 years ago, that the judiciary, the separate and co-equal branch of government, not a division of Trump Co. Inc., is responsible under our Constitution and our system of government for interpreting what the law means. Donald Trump could look at a law and say, this law allows me to run naked through the streets covered in barbecue sauce and chased by wolves. There is probably a law against running naked through the streets covered in barbecue sauce being chased by wolves. Just because he says it is one thing does not make it that thing. And he's getting his ass handed to him, by the way, in court, folks. You should take a little cheer from this. Not because at the end of the day, the Supreme Court's going to do what he wants, but because it's slowing the process down now. It's pulling at the threads of a very, honestly, very fragile set of people. Elon Musk is already starting to get bored with his job for reasons. The Doge kids they're not enough of them at the end of the day, even though they have tremendous intrusive powers. They're all getting restless right now. Trump's numbers are going down. Trump knows Elon is pulling his numbers down in part. And by the way, folks, you should be really happy about the fact that Donald Trump has set a world speed record for moving from approval in the low 50s to approval in the low 40s. He's done 11 points in 3.5 weeks. I will tell you, it's not just because of the stuff you do and we do. It's because of what Elon is doing. Elon is deeply unpopular. Elon is really unpopular. I mean, if people were given a choice like, would you like Elon or would you like to be bitten in the balls by a rabid raccoon? They'll take the rabid raccoon ball biting. He is not a popular guy. This country is not loving Elon Musk. And Elon being the co-president is hurting Trump much more than they expected. So, I mean, this imperial presidency is in Trump's heart and his head and his gut. He wants it. I think the fact that he's so upside down now on a lot of these issues, there are very few things where he's got, 80-20 issues right now, Maya. Like deporting criminals, that's an 80-20 issue. Deporting dreamers, that's a upside down 80-20 issue. ending the 14th Amendment, that's an upside down issue. So these people, and Elon Musk going through your social security number and pawing through your tax return, that's a 99-1 issue. Ain't nobody happy about that. And by the way, just to riff on that for 1 second, I know I was told we have a tight timeline tonight. Okay. Just to riff on that for 1 second. Hey, Donald, Elon's got your super secret tax returns now too, right? Dipshit. All these guys in Congress, all these guys on Wall Street, all these money people in Silicon Valley. If you don't think Elon Musk is going rip shit through their tax documents with his access to everything under the sun, think again. These people have shown time and again, and every time they've done in the last 3.5 weeks, they will violate the law. It is against the law for anyone outside of the IRS process to access your tax files. They are going into the system that accesses your tax files. The guy that hacked the Social Security system is there hacking the IRS system in the IRS offices. Folks, I got to tell you, I think when members of Congress have been waking up to this in the last 24 hours, like, the fuck? The what? He's got my what? They are not happy. The blowback is coming, and a lot of it is going to be driven by the fact that Elon Musk has overstayed his welcome.
Yeah, and I think when Trump sees the clip of Sean Hannity basically cutting him off so that he can dive deeper into what Elon Musk has to say, he's going to lose
Trump
his shit.
was very polite, though. He kept his mouth shut while the president was talking.
Well, he learned from the real president's son that he needs to shush. So Who knows? Maybe he was in the corner just letting him know, shush, as well. My dad is talking.
I'm gonna send Donald Trump a cuck chair for the White House, for the Oval.
He needs one. He absolutely needs one. He's hinting again about running again in 4 years, and I'm like, is Elon gonna let him? Like, I feel like at that point they'll figure out how to, I don't know, rewrite some sort of constitutional
listen, I think there's
and
a greater chance that Elon goes out and spends $1 gajillion to change the Constitution so that people born in other countries can run for president than he does spending money to make Donald Trump president for a third term. Because by the end of this term, folks, you can see the decline in Trump. He's going to be like a bag of suet sitting in the corner, staring at the wall, waiting for pudding time. He's going to be like, he is already much more passive in his physicality than he was in his first term. He sits there with his shoulders slumped and his head down, and he looks like I said, he looks like he's waiting for his pudding. Elon, don't use the genital cuff.
Who doesn't want pudding? I don't know. I think pudding's great. and JD is waiting in the wings. And JD Vance, by the way, is deeply unpopular in Europe. Everybody hates him. He's so unpopular. And I think he thinks because he's Peter Thiel's boy that he's somehow untouchable. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's interesting that Trump is like, no, definitely not you. You're not going to be the successor. But let's so first of all, so much is going on that I didn't even realize CPAC was this week. Like, that's how much is going on. It took me seeing an alert pop up on my screen letting me know that Elon was being an idiot on stage. I don't even know if we have a clip of him.
I don't think we have.
Do we have with him with Malay and the chainsaw? I don't think we have that. We will have it later in the show. But JD Vance is on a full on. He's like, basically, we're in now. Apparently, he hates immigrants so much, and I'm like, but your wife's family, like JD. I don't know. Make it
right.
Make
He's
sense.
He's like, I'm in my Slobodan Milosevic era. I'm going full ethnic cleansing, baby. I mean, the statements from once he starts saying things like rebuilding Western civilization, anytime one of these alt-right guys says we're going to rebuild Western civilization, it is always the intro for them to say, and we're going to send all the N-words home, or we're going to put all the Hispanics in camps. There's always some crazy, unbelievable cruelty or excess the minute you hear them say that phrase.
Well, no, exactly. And you remember, this all goes back to, I'm thinking about the rally where they're, you will not replace us. Like that whole thing that everybody was trying to dismiss as just like a bunch of wayward incels marching in their khakis. No, like this was their movement. This was their plan the entire time.
Right.
We have a clip of JD
let's
talking about this. Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Cannot rebuild Western civilization. We cannot rebuild the United States of America or Europe by letting millions and millions of unvetted illegal migrants come into our country. It has to stop. Thank God it stopped here, but it's got to stop there. And a related issue, Mercedes, is you can't just stop it. You have to allow European peoples, and of course the American people too, to raise issues about it.
Right.
You have to allow free speech to debate this stuff. You have to stop doing things to the populations of the world. You've got to give the populations of the world the opportunity to speak up and say, no more of this BS. We want borders. We want sovereignty. We want to be able to speak our own mind in our own country.
These are the same people who want to fucking make Canada the 51st fucking state. Are you kidding me?
Yes, Maya. I've noticed on the right in this country, they're just never allowed to talk about immigration. They just can't ever get a word in edgewise about immigration. Ever. It just never, ever. They struggle so hard being censored so much about immigration. They never, except for, there's a great Oscar Wilde phrase that he said back in the day when it was controversial. He said, homosexuality is the sin that dare not speak its name. Well, for MAGA, immigration is the sin that won't shut its fucking mouth. They never stop talking about it. The idea, the conceit on JD's part that somehow people are being prevented from talking about immigration. Bro, do you even watch Fox ever? Every 15 seconds, it's like, a band of brown people are here to murder you and eat your dog. Oh, fuck out of here. These people.
Well, isn't that the thing? And that's what we need as far as calling them out. Like, I need people to be, and I really love the Michael Steele clip the other day, but like, we need more people in average everyday life to be calling out this bullshit for what it is. Because I'm up to here with it. And I think gaslighting ourselves into thinking that everything is just like, no, like that's how we sleepwalk ourselves into fascism. So I think it's okay to be uncomfortable right now. I don't care if you're at Starbucks or at the grocery store, at the cashier, like say something about it. Like this is getting bonkers that we're somehow, because when they talk about free speech, but then that's the stuff that we actually can't, like empathy is the thing now that you're not allowed to show.
What you're forbidden to show in this country is compassion. What you get chastised for is saying, well, maybe you should check and see if they're actually legally here before you just cart them into a van after a SWAT team kicks down their door in the middle of the night. You know, that sort of thing. Because and this is a conceit also that Tom Homan has brought out, the idea in their heads that Constitution, the rule of law, don't apply to people who are not from here. They're still covered by that. You can't just go and say illegal and shoot them in the street. There's still a procedure, or there ought to be under the law. And there are a million, let a million flowers bloom when it comes to those lawsuits, because the way ICE is deploying and the way they're engaging in this, they're getting challenged in court across the country, and they're going to get, they're going to get their dick slapped so hard on this because they are treating this as if they are above the law.
Yeah, and they're not, because we still have checks and balances, for now. And so we should use them while we have them and speak up loudly while we
loud, people. Loud.
Very loud. Because that's the masculine thing to do. I don't know. I want to talk about masculinity because JD Vance, the picture of masculinity, seems to think it's something he should talk about.
That soft-handed motherfucker. That's a man with an extensive collection of beard oils. He is.
You know what I mean? Grooming.
There's nothing about JD Vance, to my mind, that says I'm robustly masculine. He is such a preening little.
Nobody's seen me flex like my biceps. Hold on a second. That. I don't think you could do that.
I'm not gonna look at the Rick Wilson calves because every day is leg day. But look, this idea, one of the most treasured tropes, aside from they can't talk about immigration, is that masculinity is forbidden in America. Look, you want to be a man? Be a man. Be a decent person. Treat people with honor and respect and dignity. Be strong when people are weak and need your help.
Hmm.
Be kind when you don't have to be. Be determined and tough. Do the right thing, not the easy thing. Those are traits of masculinity that I was raised with. Not, my monster truck has a pair of solid gold truck nuts on the back with Hillary Clinton's face on one and Michelle Obama's on the other. I'm a man.
The cosplaying of it all, like it's too much. It's too much.
I mean, I'm expecting JD at some point to walk out in like a wife beater t-shirt and like deliberately scratch his balls or something. Hello, ladies.
I'm feeling very manly right now. We have a clip.
And by the way, people who think Donald Trump is the apotheosis of masculinity, a 325-pound lard sack who smells like a diaper full of curry left in a rental car at an airport, get out of here.
Yeah, I don't want none of that.
I think that our culture sends a message to young men that you should suppress every masculine urge. You should try to cast aside your family. You should try to suppress what makes you a young man in the first place. And I think that my message to young men is don't allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man, because you like to tell a joke, because you like to have a beer with your friends, or because you're competitive. It's... Our message, the cultural message, and I think the president's and mine is the exact opposite, but our cultural message is, I think that it wants to turn everybody, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female for a purpose, and we want you guys to thrive as young men and as young women, and we're going to help with our public policy to make it possible to do that.
We're going to help you thrive by giving you a guideline for exactly how you need to be. I mean, I think I saw that in a K-drama in North Korea where it was like, you can be exact, this haircut, that haircut, and this haircut. You can wear pants if you're like, it's insane to me that this is what they think the people actually want. Nobody wants this. This isn't the mandate that they have, is to dictate how people should be. You can be feminine or masculine or whatever you want to be because it's freaking America and we're supposed to be able to have autonomy and individuality as we see fit.
You know, it's a straw man for one thing, but let me tell you what makes JD Vance a bad person. It's not his definition of masculinity. It's the fact that he went to Europe this week and betrayed people fighting for their lives by siding with a mad dictator, a war criminal, a guy who bombs civilian targets every single day of the week. That's not masculine, JD. That, in fact, is the exact opposite of masculine. And by the way, the hilarious thing about this whole setup is JD Vance is on stage with Mercedes Schlapp, the co-director of CPAC. Her husband, Matt Schlapp, who has been investigated for all kinds of sexual harassment of male interns, and paid huge settlements from CPAC for male interns. And by the way, when I was a Republican, CPAC was always the happy hunting ground of the closeted gay Republicans. That was their big splash every year. But her husband this weekend in Virginia was picked up in a bar for insistently following a man around and squeezing his testicles over and over again. So that, I don't know, is that masculinity? Is that the version of masculinity?
Maybe was he checking the balls for masculinity? Maybe he was.
No, he was checking the balls to see if he could put them somewhere in his body. Going to jail. Cash Patel is going to be here in the morning to take me off.
Yeah, I was going to say, the enemies list getting longer.
Jesus Christ.
But
no,
we got,
I do think, you know, no one ever made getting a beer with your friends illegal, JD. Never happened. Your friends don't go out for you with beers because you're a creepy weirdo, JD. Because you're a shape-shifting goon, for God's sake.
And masculine men don't need someone to tell them how to be either.
And they don't. I mean, if you want to look for examples of strength of character and masculinity, they're out there all over the place in the positive frame, like I was describing. You want to be a man, you want to be a good man, be good as a man. Go out and be good to people and for people and take responsibility and be honorable and help people in need and be strong when people need strength. Be kind when people need kindness. That's not feminine. That is, in my mind, the way that you ought to live. If you're a man, you ought to live that way. Women live that way too. And the idea this week that you saw this parade of these so-called tough guys going to Russia or going to Europe and kissing up to Russia and selling out actual heroes fighting in the battlefield right now, men and women in Ukraine, by the way, on the battlefield, on the front lines, fighting for their lives, fighting for their survival. And you treat those people like they're the criminals, and you treat the people attacking them like heroes. That's not masculine. That's the ultimate submissive. I mean, bend down and spread them, because these people do not get what the responsibility as a man you would have. Those people are fighting for their fucking lives, and they're betraying them. How do you wake up in the morning and go, yes, I'm the perfect example of manhood?
Yeah. And all of this in the context of the backdrop of the fact that they're arguing or pushing for Andrew Tate to have, I believe, charges dropped against him. Jaden Vance follows Andrew Tate on social media. And so when he talks about masculinity and boys should be able to make jokes and say the things. And
should they be able to hold women hostage in a house in Romania?
Yeah.
And subject to sexual abuse? Is that masculine? Because let me tell you something. Sexual abuse and rape is not masculine. It is the absolute countervailing opposite of masculine. And this idea that Andrew Tate is a fucking hero, get out of here. I mean, Andrew Tate is part of this alt-right movement that really believes that not that men and women should be equal, but that women should be punished. And that anything you do to them is fine because they're not fully human.
And they believe these things.
For our MAGA viewers, look at your daughter. Look at your granddaughter and tell me you believe that you would let her hang out with Andrew Tate, a guy who held women hostage for running them basically in a sexually abusive compound he had in Romania. I mean, I wouldn't let the guy within 1,000 miles of any member of my family, for God's sakes.
Yeah. So I think all of this to say that we are in a very, 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 very upside down time where all of a sudden our allies, we're turning them into enemies, and our former enemies are now apparently the people that we're supporting. Having Trump call Zelensky a dictator, and it's that whole thing: if you repeat something enough, a lie enough, it becomes the truth.
Well, I'm going to repeat a truth, and that is that Donald Trump calling Vladimir Zelensky a dictator is outrageous. And the truth is, Vladimir Putin started the war. Vladimir Putin committed war crimes and has done so every day for the last 3 years. Vladimir Putin is the person who Donald Trump wants to destabilize Europe, because Trump wants to carve the world into 3 blocks. Putin gets Europe, Xi gets Asia, Trump gets North and South America. That's what he wants. That's his vision of the world. And it is necessarily a broken, wrong, sick vision of the world. But that's what Trump's idea about a world full of authoritarian leaders just like Putin would be. And, nothing about this, Maya, nothing about this week helped Trump. Americans 80-20 view Vladimir Putin as a dictator. And why? They're right.
That's what I think it is.
Even Trump can't remake reality fast enough. And it is the level of dishonor that had me so angry this week. It's going to keep coming at us. These guys are going to keep trying to empower and enable Putin till the very end. But Americans are not yet buying it. We'll see how long Trump can sustain this illusion. But I can tell you, the Ukrainians that I know, they're outraged that they're not in these talks. They're not even included in these talks. My European friends, they're outraged that they're not included in these talks. Marco Rubio going into a Ritz-Carlton in Saudi Arabia with Sergei Lavrov to get his pants taken off, and he walked out of there, like a rube at a casino, busted, got nothing out of the deal. They're going to keep going at this because they've convinced themselves that Trump wants Putin to be happy, and he does. So it is. Look, it's disappointing, Maya. It's sick. It's wrong. It's weird. It's bad. But at some point, I think Europe is going to step up. And you know what? America is going to learn a hard lesson that we were the essential part of NATO and an essential part of security in Europe. And we walked away from it. And once you're away from the table, you don't get to be in the game anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to become a smaller, diminished regional power because of Donald Trump's idiocy.
Yeah.
So
he's making us irrelevant. They don't want to sit with us anymore.
they don't want to be we are not at the cool kids table.
We are not. They're like on Wednesdays you're not invited is how
Right.
that works.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple clips of Trump blaming the Ukrainians for the war, which is A+ gaslighting, bro.
I think I have the power to end this war, and I think it's going very well. But today I heard, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And President Biden, in all fairness, he doesn't have a clue. What he was so bad for this. He was so bad, so pathetic. It's so sad.
But Trump alone can fix it.
Trump alone can fix it. Well, I got to say, folks, take some heart this week. There are cracks appearing everywhere in Trump land. One of the big things that's happening right now is those folks out in Red America, they are really getting upset. They've discovered that all the cuts Elon is making, they're landing on them. They're going to lose their farms. They're going to lose their houses. They're going to lose their businesses. They're discovering that, like a story I heard today, guy in North Florida, big soybean farmer in North Florida, discovered that the AID contract that's been buying his crop for decades is gone. Big old MAGA, big old supporter. Can't believe Mr. Trump would betray him this way. Well, y'all, get ready for more. Because, it's an old phrase, but David Mamet brought it back in a sort of perfect way. If you sit down at a game of chance and you don't know who the sucker in the game is, it's you. And MAGA, the sucker in this game is you.
Yeah. It's not something I want to celebrate, but the fact that the cause and effect has not been learned for them until now. I know it's a very complex concept.
They're beginning to learn.
Yeah. So
they're beginning to learn. They're beginning to feel. They're beginning to feel the chill breeze of economic catastrophe blowing toward them. And I'm waiting for those auto workers and those Teamsters that were super enthusiastic about Donald Trump when those 25% steel and aluminum tariffs hit. As the head of Ford Motor Company said, it's the end of the American auto industry. We're going to lose everything. Fantastic work, Donald. Keep it up. Heck of a job.
Yeah. So,
but what I was saying was,
go ahead.
there really are a lot of cracks appearing. Trump's doing things that are unpopular. The legal cases are running against him like 10-1. The government takeovers are a shit show. And people are now like, wait, I didn't want you to cancel the National Weather Service. Planes are crashing. Why are you firing all the FAA people? Those things are starting to trickle down and percolate into the minds of millions of Americans. And I think that we're not quite yet at the bottom of Donald Trump's approval ratings. I think we can go further, folks. Let's go for the high 20s. Let's go for some catastrophic, real darkness.
Yeah, well, as people start to feel the pain, and we can look to Argentina for this because Milei was on stage at CPAC with Elon Musk and the chainsaw. And so for those of you who don't know, Milei is not so popular in Argentina right now because the pain was supposed to be followed by some sort of abundance, and that didn't actually happen.
We've cut inflation, and you have, but the poverty rate has gone up by 170%.
Yeah, so a little bit of a preview for what's going to happen here, y'all. So,
yay! Learn to garden, everybody. Get chickens.
Yeah, get your.
Oh God! I just said get chickens. Renee's now she'll be online right now.
It's like it started with princess, it ended with chickens. What's happening? Absolutely. What I don't love, and we can wrap with this, is Kash Patel was confirmed today, which we knew would happen.
We knew would happen, and I have to say there's one gift of Kash Patel being confirmed. All those members of Congress and all those senators who voted for him, they don't understand that he hates them so much, and he's going to come after them. The FBI was not weaponized before, but it's sure as hell going to be weaponized now. And if Susan Collins gets so much as a speeding ticket, they are going to go insane. Kash is going to use the FBI as Donald Trump's personal Stasi, and he's going to use them to investigate and punish his political enemies, and it's going to be fantastic. But I think it all comes down to the end. They do not care in the Senate. They do not care in Washington. They are so in the Trump bubble and so disconnected, and the billionaire class around Elon and those guys, they don't care. The impacts of all this for them are academic or illusory. They're not real in their heads. They are so protected in the world that the damage that Trump and Elon and this billionaire claque are doing doesn't even enter their minds. And these members of the Senate think they know they're protected. We have a good ad on that. I think we'll wrap the show up with that, and we will ring it out. Folks, as always, we love having you. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this episode. Also, you can follow us at the Lincoln Project Podcast, my Enemies List podcast, Maya's excellent Punching Up podcast, where she's getting some phenomenal interviews, including the MAGA Granny interview. Excellent. As well as if you want to help the Lincoln Project continue our work, go to lincolnproject.com/helplp. That's lincolnproject.us/helplp. Lincoln Project US. There you go. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you again next week.
They don't care. Every senator who voted to confirm anti-vaccine nut RFK Jr. has the best health care in the world. Doctors on call who will be at their offices in minutes. They don't worry about their family's access to health care. It comes with their jobs. Who pays for it? You do. These senators and their families are protected by health care paid for by your tax dollars. How about you and your family? RFK Jr. is against all mandatory vaccines in schools. Measles, whooping cough, even polio. His anti-vaccine craziness is credited with killing scores of children. It's how the system works. The powerful live in another world, protected, insulated, all at your expense. Republican senators don't care about your family's health. If Donald Trump says vote for a dangerous crank, they bow and kiss his ring. Even when it puts your children at risk, they should be ashamed of themselves. But they don't.